Hello, and welcome back to Mojo's Motivational Mondays. My name is Monique, and I go by Mojo. So, welcome to the Yogi Minimalist Fit Enthusiast, or if you're on my website, gettingmymojoback.com. So, for today's Mojo's Monday motivational, oh my goodness, I already messed it up. So, for today's Mojo's Motivational Mondays, I wanted to talk about manipulation. So, the last video I talked about finding your mojo by not limiting yourself. So, this one today is about finding your mojo by being aware of the manipulators because they're everywhere. They are everywhere. They're in your family. You might have friends. You might be in a relationship with someone who's a manipulator, or you might be at a job or doing some type of project where there's a lot of manipulating going on. And if you're anything like myself, a highly sensitive person or empathetic, or maybe you've gone through certain situations or trauma where you're very sensitive to these things happening. You're sensitive to situations, so you pick things up a little bit differently, probably more than most. And that's not to say that you would have to go through anything, to pick up on these things. Some people pick them up right away. It just depends. So this is not about, oh, I picked that up way before and I didn't have to experience that. That is besides the point. The whole point of this video is just being cautious of people trying to manipulate you. So when you're finding your mojo, right? Sometimes we might get advice from certain people, do things, and from what they're telling us, and that might be because maybe we don't have the knowledge, or maybe we don't trust or believe in ourselves, so we tend to follow or listen to others that seem like they know what's going on. But just be careful, because some people do have you, or they have the best interest of you. They have, they're thinking of your best interests. But there are times when they're not. They're thinking of themselves, what they can get out of it, what they can get out of you. So you just want to be careful who you have in your circle in general. But you also want to be careful with who you're working for. So now, a job's a job, And there's some people who they work so that they can pay their bills and whatnot. But there comes a point where, whether if you're working for someone or you're in a relationship or whatever the case is, because manipulation is everywhere, there comes a point where if it's not sitting right with you, then how are you going to handle that? You know what I mean? So if there's a situation, for instance, where, a friend or a family, and maybe other people may not be listening to them, so they try to manipulate you into manipulating others, right? So now you're just as bad as them. So you want to be careful with that, and just be more mindful on what we're taking in, such as this video, such as what I'm saying. So being careful with whatever information you're receiving, and also being careful with what you're putting out. Such as, do you have a problem with controlling others? Do you have controlling issues? And what are your intentions behind it? What are your true intentions? Are you really trying to help people? Are you really trying to motivate people? Or are you just trying to take people for granted? So it's just one of those things where you have to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Who am I doing this for? Is it for the best interest for others, or is it the best interest for myself, or is it both? Because it should be a little bit of both, like, so we can all thrive, we can all win. So, but when it comes to certain, or on the other way, right, the other direction, where it's not for the best interest for others or for yourself, but just for that person or that situation. how do you get out of it? You know, you have to think about responsibilities, of course. Like, is this a responsibility that I need to do? Is this like necessary? Am I harming others? Am I harming myself? Because at the end of the day, if you're dealing with a manipulator, somebody's going to get hurt, whether if it's you or other people that are involved. Or at a job, you know, if you don't feel comfortable doing something and then you have your boss or a colleague saying other things and it's not sitting well with you, then this is where you have to be responsible, right? Do you have to do A, B, and C to accomplish D, E, F? You know, do you have to do these things? So it's a lot to process, a lot to think about, because sometimes with dealing with manipulators, you get that pressure, you get that unnecessary pressure, and it makes you feel a way where it's not just uncomfortable, but now you're feeling uncomfortable because of what they're asking of you, but then you're feeling it from the aftermath, right? So it's one of those things where if you're in that type of situation, it's going to accumulate if you're not careful. So finding your mojo part 2 is being cautious of the manipulators, right? Being careful of what you're taking in. Of course, how you're acting towards that, if it's something that they are kind of demanding for you to do. And this, I'm trying to keep it general because this can be, you know, this can fall under so many different categories. So you want to pick and choose, just like with anything else. You want to pick and choose, and think of, does this person, do they have the best interest or the, you know, of me, of the whole situation? So of course you want to consider the person, you want to consider the source and their intentions too, and sometimes that can be hard, especially if you are empathetic. You try to see everyone in a good light, but with that too, you don't want to see the negative, or maybe you don't want to, or maybe you might be naive to it and you're not ready to accept the truth. And there's a lot of that going on too, where it's like, hey, I know the truth, but I see the truth, but I don't want to see it, so I'm refusing it. And then you feed into their manipulation even more, and that can make you just as bad as them. So it's one of those things where you really want to give and take into consideration, right, of the manipulation. Manipulation is everywhere, all over the world. And if you're not careful with your circle, they're going to be friends, family, significant others, whoever, that try to manipulate you into doing things that you don't want to do, you know? So I want you to challenge yourself on taking your power back. So the previous video I talked about Moj0's JoJo on do not limit yourself. And then with this one is take your power back and just be cautious of manipulators. So I apologize if this video is all over the place today. I don't script my motivational videos, so it might be a little all over the place, and that's kind of like how I am. But you know, hey, I hope you get the message. Hopefully the message was received in some way. Hopefully you can gain something from it and maybe take into consideration of, are you being the manipulator? You know, are you? And if so, why is there a control issue? Why do you have control issues, right? Why? Because that's another type of stressor. Even if you have a good heart and you mean well, what is the pressure coming from? You know, what is the pressure coming from? And then if you are on the other end when you feel like you're being controlled, then you ask yourself, what, where is that pressure coming from? Or why do I not feel pressured or have enough power within myself to say no on whatever it is? So with that being said, hopefully you get something out of it. Again, I'm trying to do motivational talks every Monday, so follow my YouTube, the Yogi Minimalist Fit Enthusiast, or follow my website / blog, gettingmymojoback.com, and I will see you next week. Bye.